Jimmy Neutron is a shithead, is not affiliated with Nickelodeon, Viacom, or any parent or subsidiary companies, and is recommended for viewers 18 and older. And that means no little boys. And especially, no boy geniuses. You know who you are.
Fuck you!
1, 2, 3.
No, wait.
Right.
No! Are we recording?
Yes, we are.
Welcome to Jimmy Neutron is a Shithead. That was us trying to start the episode the Dragon Ball GT way. It wasn't good. We have finally snapped.
But we have reached the pinnacle of enlightenment, and by that I mean RIP Season 1.
Season 1 is dead and buried. Well, actually, no, it's not buried yet. This is us putting the top.
We haven't talked about it yet.
Yeah. Fuck this. Alright, so this is the first time we've seen two-parters, which is to say, 23-minute episodes as opposed to the 11-minute ones. So...
Sadly.
Yeah, our schedule's just gonna be...
You know what, even if it was or wasn't, either way, it was just going to be sadly.
Yeah, everything is kind of sad in this. We got I should say that we got a good-ish episode by this show's standards in Beach Party Mummy, I guess.
But don't forget, you can counterpoint that with the other side of the coin being Sorry Wrong Era, which is infuriating.
Yeah, it's one of the worst episodes of the show.
But not bad. Not like boring bad. Infuriatingly bad.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck were they thinking? It was like, we had an episode that's mediocre, but good relatively. It's not movie quality, but it's something. And then we've got a hair puller. So, I guess we'll start with the good news with Beach...
No more stalling.
Yeah, no. I'm seeing how long I can drag this out.
I was wondering if you were going to... Okay, we have to. We there's no more stalling, right? Absolutely no more stalling allowed. Beach Party Mummy. Episode, Jimmy experiments with life and death as he tries to revive Carl's dead fish, which he has for some reason, and then Jimmy and company see like a documentary, or like 30 seconds of a documentary on Egypt, so they go to maybe Egypt, whatever, don't find anything, then they have a beach party, which isn't a beach party, and then they find it, inexplicably, and then they go into it, it's scary and dark, and booby traps, and Carl, like a fucking idiot, uses Jimmy's Awaken the Dead machine on mummies, which inexplicably start moving, and the best choice is to have Libby pretend to be the queen, have her order the mummies around, and for some reason, the mummies totally accept this, and they do, and then they leave. And the most important thing that ever came out of this episode is that Libby keeps her hairstyle, which I personally like more.
Yeah, I did like her bangs, but I do think that if I were asked to picture Libby, it would definitely be with the end of Season 1 into the rest of the show hairstyle.
Good braids. I'm happy she kept it. Her mighty fine royal fabulousness has a good haircut now.
So, in case anyone had their doubts that Jimmy plays around with the forces of life and death, worry no more. This episode confirms that he tried to raise the dead in Carl's fish.
Like, this isn't us. That we knew he'd been doing this, but nope, he's just doing it out in the open.
He
says later in the episode that nobody should mess with this, but
blatant lies. Yeah. I mean, he was barely trying to bring back Swimmy because he was using the DNA accelerator from Substitute Creature, which is not... This is like the third time they've used that prop, and they just keep deciding that it's something else.
He has his, like, tuning fork that he stuck fucking wires on. It's multi-purpose.
This is basically like children playing with sticks and then deciding, oh, now it's a gun, now it's a sword. Except Jimmy actually makes it work with his orc powers. Carl is distraught at the death of his fish that we only see in this episode, and his friends try to cheer him up, and then just conveniently, Miss Fowl brings in an actual human skull, or like an entire skeleton, I think, to class, which triggers Carl's like trauma. And she doesn't give a fuck.
Carl screams in class. Miss Fowl doesn't give a shit.
For some reason, Jimmy announces that he wants to see a real mummy, unprompted.
So, the almost context to that is that Miss Fowl's like, we're going to have a documentary on mummies. Or Egypt? I don't remember. It doesn't matter. And he's like, I don't want to learn about mummies. I want to see real mummies.
Yeah, but that doesn't really mean anything. Why does Jimmy want to see dead people? I mean...
He wants to experiment more.
I guess that's true. Like, that's exactly... You pretty much nailed it. Like, that's the only reason that I can find the reason why this Swimmy plot and Jimmy's need to see mummies makes any sense in universe. It's that Jimmy wants dead bodies to experiment on.
I need dead bodies.
Yeah, so Miss Fowl puts in a tape that's about Egypt, and it doesn't seem to have an intro. It just kind of starts mid-monologue, talking about how the Arabs cut out this man's tongue.
This isn't just the anti-Semitism counter. There's also the Islamophobia counter.
Yeah, it's like, not something I'd expect, but this is the Bush era. Gotta put that on TV.
So yeah, it's like, I will tell them stories, but they've already cut out my tongue. Yeah. In Egypt?
You know.
I want everyone to know that, like, the pyramids are, like, they're near civilization.
Yeah, they're on the river, and, like...
It's right there, so, like, they're next to civilization. Just according to this documentary, literally everyone that exists in Egypt will cut out your fucking tongue.
Yeah, it's just like, well, just take a stroll down into the Middle East. Uh-oh, I've been disemboweled.
Jesus Christ, Jimmy.
Fucking...
This isn't even Jimmy's fault, but I want to blame him for it.
Jimmy probably made this tape as a way of distracting everyone, because this tape is procedurally generated, as far as I can tell, because it goes on for over a day. Yeah, this episode takes place over the course of multiple days. They leave while the tape is playing, and they come back, and it's still going, and none of the children have left. They've just fallen asleep at their desks, and have been there for over 24 hours.
They're trapped. They can't get out.
They just kind of walk away because there's no one there to keep them, except for gay stereotype Principal Willoughby, who grabs children.
His name doesn't matter, and we know that.
His name does matter because when I do my Miss Fowl impression, I have to scream it out at the top of my lungs. That's terrible. My Miss Fowl...
That wasn't your best.
My Miss Fowl impression's getting worse.
Like, she's feeding off your talent to grow stronger.
So Willoughby shows up and he's like, "Where are you children going?" And Carl immediately sabotages them by being like, "Egypt!" And who comes up with the alternative? Like, Jimmy had already left by this point. Was it Sheen?
Yeah. So Sheen. I don't know, Sheen. Like, you're Sheen. School tanning salon.
That doesn't make any sense, and Willoughby believes it because he's an idiot.
He's an idiot.
He's just there to give the appearance that Lindbergh Elementary is an authentic program and not like a front for whatever gold peddling, ribbon distributing, offshore like bank account that it is.
It really is.
They all meet up outside. Jimmy comes back with his hovercraft.
Then they're all like, yeah, this is... Yeah, like, whatever. School sucks. Jimmy's like, light speed to Egypt.
Light speed. In atmosphere.
Light speed.
Light speed in general. Jimmy. That takes more energy than the entire known universe.
It's not recommended in atmosphere, I guess.
Oh, fucking Christ, Jimmy.
You know why they need to go? You know why they needed to go to that light speed? Because that's how you get to the center of the Earth. You light speed warp to it.
Yeah, that's right. Apparently, this is not the first shitty trip that Jimmy has roped Cindy and Libby into, because for some reason they go too. And he took them to the center of the Earth once, and then they just kind of were there. And hopefully they were in an actual enclosure and not Jimmy's hovercraft, like he seems to take everywhere. Or else they would have all died, and Jimmy the Ghost would have needed to clone them.
No, but you know that... No, but we've seen... Or at least Cindy's like, yeah, but all we found was hot dirt. So either the Jimmy Neutron Earth is super fucked up, or, like, Jimmy clearly failed at bringing them to the center of the Earth.
Yeah, he probably just gave them a bunch of shovels and started hitting them with sticks, and were like, dig, fools! I need minerals! For reasons!
For reasons!
In this scene, Libby reveals that she's related to the pharaohs. Apparently, the pharaoh Hazabana Slapcha, which is...
Hazabana Slapcha.
I just got the joke! Legit. I just got the joke!
You did? You did?
I didn't know what it was.
You thought it was just, like, a random string of sounds.
Fuck me. I didn't get it.
How's about I slap you?
In this house,
not getting that joke.
In this house, we slap your nuts, Jimmy. So, we get a great line from Sheen, which is like, what was it?
Okay, so Carl's like, oh, those crowds look like Swimmy. I miss Swimmy. And Sheen's like, you need a better pet, like a lizard, or a chupacabra, or a little alien brother that you never had, or something like that.
Yeah, I like that line, because it's like foreshadowing for Planet Sheen, where Sheen just gives up his entire life to hang out with some aliens, and is never found.
The alien titties.
Fuck me. Planet Sheen is like... It's sort of like we're eating meals in reverse, where Planet Sheen is sort of like the cough syrup of the 4-course meal.
What does that make Jimmy Neutron?
It starts with shit, and then it gets slightly less shit, and then it gets boring, and then we drink cough syrup, and that's Planet Sheen. I don't mean like we sip it, I mean like every episode is a shot. By the end of it, we're dying.
We should probably be doing, like, drunk reviews at some point. Like, I feel like we'll just hit that.
Fuck,
we just need it to get through.
I don't drink, but Jimmy Neutron might make me drink. Let's see.
Alright, another thing that I want to point out is that the pyramids are, like, around. They're around civilization. And so where does Jimmy go? Middle of the fucking Sahara Desert.
Yeah, he's just, like, fucking...
What?
He's just fucking off in the middle of absolute nowhere, hoping he'll find something.
Jimmy, you didn't even bring anything. You brought a fucking hover car and binoculars to find the tomb no one else has found.
Absolute hogwash. And he forces them all to search for 3 hours. Cindy says 3 hours.
3 hours.
That makes my he hits them with a stick and forces them to dig metaphor seem a lot more plausible, because they were walking without food or water. Sheen was not allowed to use the bathroom at all in this time.
Jimmy shackles his ability to piss. Yeah, so, like, it turns out Jimmy didn't even bring anything like a map or a, I don't know, like, X-ray device or, like, literally anything.
Yeah, they just fucked off for 3 hours. No big deal.
Yeah, that's it.
Carl is revealed to be an abusive pet owner and fed Swimmy milkshakes, which is probably why Swimmy died.
Carl, like, knowing him, he just like, hey, Swimmy, you want to go in the milkshake? Dunk.
I'm surprised Swimmy lasted as long as he did, considering.
How long do we know that Swimmy lasted?
Long enough for Carl to form a bond with him.
Oh, but Carl, like, forms bonds with anything. He could have had that fish for, like, 3 days.
Yeah, I think that's the most likely theory, actually, because there's no way Swimmy would have survived that long. And also, I'm pretty sure in a much later episode, the Weezers are allergic to everything, including fish, so bad continuity, I guess. So after being lost in the desert for 3 hours, Jimmy just snaps and loses it, and just begins dancing.
He just is like... Sand. Starts like dancing and laughing.
Yeah, and Sheen immediately jumps to, let's kill him. Which is fair.
No, that's their stock response after all the terror Jimmy's inflicted.
They're just looking for any excuse to put him out of his misery.
Put him out of their misery.
That too. In fact, mostly that. If only they knew that they can't kill him, no matter how hard they try.
Sheen picks up a rock.
This
Wants to Cain enable him to death.
This 11-year-old boy was prepared to murder Jimmy Neutron, and I support him.
I do too.
Jimmy gets out of it by revealing that he hasn't gone crazy. He's just suggesting that they throw a beach party instead and enjoy themselves in the desert. And Jimmy, sand does not a beach make. You are still in the middle of the fucking desert.
And as far as we know, like, you guys haven't drinking anything. Like, you guys are basically, like, dehydrated. There's nothing fun. You're all sweating. There's nothing refreshing. Jimmy. I think Jimmy's actually lost it at this point.
Yeah, but I guess everyone else has too, because they go along with this nonsense plan. And they just start dancing in the middle of the desert, and they pull out some, like, projector screens and, like, surf in front of those. I don't understand. It's not a beach, Jimmy! It's fucking sweltering. There's no water, there's no boardwalks, there's no other people, there's no anything. You're in the desert! You are in the absence of all things, Jimmy. You are dying.
Jimmy is dying and is losing it. So he brings up the beach to try to have fun before he perishes.
And the bootleg Beach Boys bust in and sing Egyptian Beach Party. What does the line 2 camels for every sheik mean? Let me look up what sheik means.
Wait, that happens in the... Wait, oh yeah, that's a lyric. What the fuck? I never noticed that, actually.
An Arab leader, in particular the chief or head of an Arab tribe, family, or village. A leader in a Muslim community or organization. Well, that doesn't mean anything in this context because you are neither. No camels for anyone. That brings the counter up to 2, I guess?
I don't even know what the hell they're even trying to do with the shitty Beach Boys.
They just piss around for a montage, and then a sandstorm comes, and that reminds them, oh yeah, this is not a beach, this is hell on earth. And they...
This is a desert, we're going to die. And so they shittily run away, and the sandstorm clears up in like a second. And what's this? What's this?
It's the lost tomb of You Wanna Go, Mate?
It's the inexplicable, like, plot tomb.
Yeah, the one that's just in the middle of nowhere with nothing, ever. It's no wonder it was a lost tomb.
It was fucking 300 miles away.
Yeah, the queen was an idiot and built their palace in bumfuck nowhere.
God, I hate how they found it.
Probably in Morocco by this point. They bust into the tomb, and shock of all coincidences, Libby is descended from the queen and looks exactly like her.
Yep.
Moving on. That doesn't make much sense, but okay. I guess she's a direct descendant from... I mean, I guess someone has to be. So
someone has to be. It might as well be a main character.
Yeah, let's what are the odds? And, like, was this just one big setup? Was this just Jimmy putting them into a sting? But I don't want to believe so, because I'd actually like to believe that Libby had some dignity and joy in this episode. And
yeah, I feel like Jimmy for once actually didn't do it, because, like, he gained absolutely nothing from this. I feel like this was only his negligence, and, like, inexplicably it worked out somehow.
Yeah, I'm not going to take...
For once.
I'm not going to take this one away from Libby. She earned it.
She's the only good character, and the only good scientist.
And the only one to name drop Harrison Ford, I think.
Oh yeah, she does do that. It's like, shouldn't we call someone like the I don't know who the fuck she calls her, Harrison Ford?
Yeah, so that's the one funny joke. I think we both laughed at that one. Carl tries to stay out of the tomb, and Jimmy's like, okay, but if them...
You can defend us from a horde of marauding grave robbers.
Yeah, no.
You know.
Those the ones that
Those
exist.
local ones in this local area. What the... Jimmy, do you get all your shit from fucking Tomb Raider movies?
Jimmy gets his information.
Another one for the Islamophobia. Jimmy hates Arab people. And Jimmy just expects nothing of anyone that isn't, like, in Retroville.
Yeah, Jimmy's a product of the Bush era, and he's perfectly molded to, like, fill the nationalist, like, front. So, they get into the tomb. Sheen's a jackass and scares Carl for no reason. Carl reveals that he thinks he has an inner black woman.
What?
Yeah, it's like, they see the mural of the Queen, and Cindy's like, she looks just like, and then Carl poses, and he's like, me?
No, Libby. Obviously, she was talking about it earlier.
They study the mural, and Sheen says that she must be Libby's great. Starts counting on his fingers. It goes on all night and all day.
Yeah, like, you know how we can tell? A picture of the sky, and, like, the moon goes by, and then the sun comes up again.
You would not need that many greats. I'm pretty sure human civilization hasn't had that many generations, Sheen.
I mean, even if you assume, like, you can probably do the math somewhere. It's not that many.
Yeah, no, Sheen's an idiot and wasted all their time and hours.
Sheen wasted a day of their time.
And rightly so, Jimmy shoves a torch in Sheen's face and nearly immolates him.
Good. When you displease Jimmy, you will be burned.
They try to open up a door for some reason, and Sheen tries to give the magic words, which are mostly just lyrics to pop songs from 20 years ago, from when the show was created.
Come, chameleon.
So, not great and not funny, but it was the early 2000s where being random was considered funny for some reason. And I wrote in my notes, Sheen is never funny. So Jimmy translates the murals using his watch, which has a Rosetta Stone upgrade. I don't know if that's...
Name dropping.
Yeah, I don't know if that's, like, in reference to the service of Rosetta Stone, or if that's, like, a joke about the actual Rosetta Stone, but you think that you could just, like, translate it yourself, Jimmy.
I feel like that is a joke on the company, though. I don't know. It's an interesting joke that I never got as a kid.
He also reveals that he doesn't believe in magic, despite being an alchemist himself.
Yeah, like, that is all he does. He goes explicitly on faith and no science whatsoever. He has a wrench. That's all the science he ever does.
Just to tap something with a screwdriver, it now does the opposite thing. Ugh. It's a sickening scene where they uncover some corpses, and Carl reveals that he shat himself.
Oh my god. She's like, hey, I found the bathroom. Or at least it smells like a bathroom. Does anyone have an air freshener? And Carl gives him some.
They question why he has that, and he refuses to explain. So I guess Carl just shits himself routinely. Carl
just smells like... Ooh, what if Carl himself is rotting because of the lack of his soul? Or he just shitting himself because of that?
Oh yeah, that's right. Earlier on in the episode, Carl died. I forgot. They buried him upside down in the sand.
Holy shit, Carl's died so much. We forget to even mention he died.
It's just like an afterthought. And then there's a scene where he's dancing upside down in the air on nothing. So he was just floating. Carl died, and now he's a rotting ghost.
Carl fucking was buried upside down in the montage. His legs moving was him struggling to no avail. And then he's comedically dancing upside down. So he's just floating. Carl was just holding Jimmy's DNA ELISA that can revive the dead and accidentally used it on himself.
That would make sense. That would explain how he somehow fucked up and triggered it later on in the episode. Sheen easily accepts Carl's death later on when Carl gets dragged behind a revolving trap door, which exists for some reason, and he just says...
He's already dead. We all know that.
He's just like, well, he's a goner, so I guess Carl's death is just a natural part of it.
Maybe all the rest of the gang is used to it by now.
He puts in only a token effort to save Carl.
Oh, Carl, okay. And so Jimmy's like, uses his, ooh, I can save the day, and so he's like, oh, we can use these spices or whatever to blow the door up, which works somehow.
Around this time, Principal Willoughby discovers that he'd been lied to, shows up in Miss Fowle's class, and then immediately falls asleep. So that plotline went nowhere.
Absolutely not.
The door that trapped Carl before they exploded cannot be turned again, even though it turned once. So fuck me, I guess. That doesn't make any sense. And they end up trapped in the sealed off section of the tomb where Jimmy gets some ominous lighting and says,
"Oh my god, we get the, like, honestly best moment of the entire show, and they get trapped."
Okay, this field trip, it's over. How are you gonna get us out of here, Mr. Tour Guide?
We don't want to get out of here.
In this scene, I genuinely
We don't want to get out.
In this scene, I genuinely thought that Jimmy was going to, like, break script and start beating them to death. Like, the Russian counter hackers were trying to stop us from seeing this.
Fucking... Oh, well, Jimmy's gone crazy with good reason. He takes the torch and starts beating them to death.
So, Sheen reveals that he has a death wish of some sort, where he wants to be buried with his Ultra Lords as they break into this tomb, and Jimmy says, "Of course, I'll bury you with your Ultra Lords."
See, they actually do that, because he's like, when I die, I want to be buried with my Ultra Lords, and Jimmy gives him, like, a thumbs up. It's so small, but he's like, okay, I got you, Sheen. I don't know if that's solidarity, or, like, when your times come, I will do that. Like, or, like, when I kill you, I'll do that.
Yeah, it's like, this Sheen I will bury. I've disposed of the others improperly, but I will give you this one small mercy.
I will allow this on all of your hard work.
Yes.
So the torch goes out.
For some reason, they drop it or something.
And Jimmy clearly has a light on his watch. So what happens?
He just fishes around in the darkness, and then Cindy goes, "That is not your torch." So he just groped her ass while it was dark. What the fuck, Jimmy? What the fuck, Jimmy?
Jimmy, I thought your raw misogyny was clearly outpacing your latent sexual desires.
Nope, there's like a joke in the show where Jimmy just gooses Cindy, and it's just like casually glossed over. And I'm like, okay.
Jesus Christ. And then...
for kids.
So Carl activates the machine. It gives off lightning. So Jimmy's, like, joke to slap Cindy's ass. Buenos dias, Cindy.
Fuck you.
Causes the mummies to go alive, which makes... Okay, we didn't touch on this at the beginning. How does Jimmy's machine work? It stimulates the brainwaves. Ignoring all bodily functions that don't work as a result of that, and, like, the eventual poisoning of your entire body for, like, whatever failure has happened. So the brain's probably not the problem, Jimmy. But even if it was the problem, these are mummies. They have those scooped out.
Yeah, it doesn't make any fucking sense. He just kind of zaps them, and it shouldn't do anything.
Even if their brains were still there and that worked, their bodies don't have muscles.
It's absolute nonsense. It is so clearly necromancy. There's no way around it.
Jimmy didn't make a science gun, he made a necromancy launcher. The only benefit is that you can do it at a distance.
He's automated the process now for his convenience. I don't need a clone Carl's. I can just zap them and bring them back.
What the fuck, Jimmy? This makes absolutely no fucking sense. I hate you. I hate how this worked.
That probably explains why he chooses to throw it away at the end of the episode, because he sees that the people he killed remember the fact that they died, and he knows that he can't control Carl if Carl remembers the death that Jimmy inflicted upon him. He got rid of it because it was an inefficient way to control the dead.
I totally believe that. It's really right up his alley. So, basically the mummies are terrifying and they're screwed. Absolutely no one realizes that they have no muscles, so they pose absolutely no threat. But anyway, so...
They can't take out 3 walking corpses that shuffle at 0 miles an hour.
They're pathetic. All of them. Even Cindy, who knows Kung Fu, is pathetic. She can only fight pants. So, Jimmy has Brain Blast and make Lemmy the queen.
So they just hide behind a statue, dress her up like the queen somehow. They have makeup and stuff, I guess?
No, my favorite thing about this is that, like, they're going to die. Like, they don't have another plan. And so he's like, Libby, we have to try this. And everyone else is like, Jimmy, that's a stupid fucking idea. But we're gonna die anyway, so we might as well have fun with this.
Yeah, they were clearly not expecting this to work. They were just gonna throw Libby at the mummies and see what happens.
She dies first, but we're gonna have fun.
Absolute horror, and it's only by complete luck that Libby survived, because I guess she is descended from the Queen?
And the mummies remember without a brain, and they also apparently remember English.
But not... But only African American vernacular English, because that's the only one they respond to. Because they're from Africa, you understand? Now.
I hate this show.
Now, okay. A sympathetic reading of this would be that Libby was only able to assert her authority once she started talking like herself and not put on a front.
Like a queen front. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, she was only able to rule once she was actually being herself. But
that's a good lesson, actually. Good job, Libby.
But I choose to believe that the writers of the show just think that if you live in Africa, you only speak vernacular English.
Fucking Christ. I would believe that. That's a somewhat realistic reasoning of how bad the writers are.
The mummies do the thriller for some reason. She orders...
Because she forces them to dance, of course.
She orders them to stay still for a few trillion years, and they just kind of lean on each other, and I guess they'll just be there forever, so they can just live forever as walking, or in this case, standing corpses. Then Sheen's in a pit. I don't know why.
Sheen falls to his death.
For some reason, Sheen's just in a pit. It's never explained why.
Oh my god, then they all go back, Libby keeps the hairstyle, and... Also, bad continuity. Jimmy says Mach speed to Retroville.
Gone down by, several, powers of 10, the amount of speed he can go.
I don't know. So they come back, and what pissed me off about this?
They get back to Lindbergh. Principal Willoughby wakes up, and there's a disgusting moment where he's having a sleep cute with Miss Fowl. Ugh. And he demands to know where they were, and they were like, and Sheen's like, oh, we were in the bathroom. And then Carl just shoves his way by and was like, in Egypt! And we saw a mummy! And then he just sabotages them all.
Carl, what the fuck? It's either Carl is, sabotage them because he hates everybody and wants everyone to suffer, or he is just very incapable of having any mental faculty.
It's because his brain is rotting. He's dead.
I believe that. He just has he's not good at reading social cues because his brain is rotting.
He's got necrosis. And Miss Fowl ends the episode announcing that I guess they're gonna loot the tombs and yay colonialism. And I guess that's the ending. They don't give it to the Egyptian authorities for any historical preservation. It's just extra recess all this week.
Which is something everyone likes, and apparently, we never see them at recess either. I don't know. This episode has no good ending.
I'm gonna fuck a mummy.
What are we looking at today?
We're looking at the episode where Hugh is a monster and Jimmy proceeds to not understand anything. It's sorry, wrong era.
This episode, I don't know. If I had to give this episode a process of viewing, a word to describe it, I'd put difficult. Because we had difficulties even getting through this episode. We had to watch it twice.
I just had a tantrum halfway through the episode going, that's not how time travel works!
Yeah, it was both of us Jimmy Neutron hurt both of us personally because of this episode.
I've never walked out of a Jimmy Neutron episode before, but this one's unique. So Jimmy has invented some time remote that allows him to rewind or fast forward things for his own amusement.
Or something.
Hugh seizes it against Jimmy's best intentions and zaps him back into the past, even though that's not how the remote works. And Hugh spends the rest of the episode tormenting everyone in Retroville as Jimmy, Carl, and Sheen are trying to get their way back to the present. They meet a adorable sidekick that's marketable. They fight a dinosaur. Jimmy constructs a new remote out of sticks, twigs, mud, berries, and a chunk of diamond for some reason. They fuck the time stream up permanently, but there's no lasting consequences, and they make their...
Not at all.
Just make their way back to Retroville, and then the horrible, shitty sidekick reverses the episode, and it never happened, making it all an exercise in futility and pointlessness.
Like, yeah, talk about the ending first.
Yeah, so...
Bad.
Fucking... What's his nuts?
Lemmy what's his nuts, Jr.
Yeah, so Leppy, the leper. That's actually, you know what? No, I'm sorry. To people with leprosy out there, I'm sorry. You should not be dragged into this.
And so Leppy comically grabs the remote and rewinds the entire episode and all of the universe, and we go back to the start. So apparently this episode never happened.
The rest of the show takes place in the Steel Jimmy Run universe.
It takes place in a different fucking timeline. Okay, so you looked at the wiki. What did the wiki say about this episode?
It's not even canon! It doesn't mean anything! Quote, the wiki, if Leppy rewinded the whole episode, this episode probably didn't actually happen in the Jimmy Neutron universe, because Leppy would have rewinded it again and again and again, and the rest of these episodes after this one couldn't exist. Or Jimmy could have changed the timeline, resulting in this episode never happening.
This episode is basically all consequenceless and stupid and, like, an exercise in futility, as you said.
And, dear listener, Agent 5 told me specifically, don't make a Steel Ball Run reference. And I did it anyway.
So bad. I'm allowing.
So, the time remote is the worst of any of Jimmy's inventions this far, because it makes...
Just because it caused this episode, mind you.
That too, but it makes zero sense.
Oh yeah, it makes no sense. Like, basically, it's basically sapping all of Jimmy's how to make faith-based alchemy science work at all.
So
it's using 110% of it.
So on the tin, it's supposed to rewind and fast forward isolated like things. It knows what you're pointing at, and it will make those repeat what they did backwards, or it'll make them go through what they're about to do faster. Okay, I guess that makes sense. It's on a very isolated scale. It can make someone go back into their own personal past or forward in their future. Makes sense so far. Hugh then grabs the remote, presses 200 blue button, and zaps the fuckboys 200 million years in the past. So that already, in the first few minutes, it contradicts how it works, because it didn't reverse them.
Jimmy, Carl Sheen are banished into unbirth.
Oh, fuck you.
They are, I didn't mean to put it like that, are banished into pre-birth existence. They now don't exist. Period.
Maybe that's how this episode makes sense. They're in the Wonkaverse. But why was the blue button set for million years ago by default, Jimmy?
Hey, Jimmy, did you know that when you make a thing that you plan on using for, like, a couple of minutes, that maybe the standard should be, like, a couple of minutes?
Why was that the default option, Jimmy?
Why was a million years?
And they say they're sent to the Cretaceous period, and they're not, because 200 million years ago is not the Cretaceous period.
Yeah, it's right before it, actually. So Jimmy, 1, has no idea how, doesn't actually know his time periods that well. 2, what the fuck kind of remote did you make that you're like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna have, if you're putting, 200 and then, blue button, million.
And they get sent back to a place that is not Retroville. There's a volcano right next to where Jimmy's house should be. And I guess you speculated that that's because of continental drift?
Maybe? Whatever.
But I guess that could work. It teleports them to the relative place on Earth. But to me, I would say, well, why not stop there? Why not they teleport to the exact fixed location in the universe, and Earth has left millions of years ago, as our galaxy has orbited the center of the universe, and Jimmy just gets caught in space and dies.
Let Jimmy die.
I guess if they ended up in what was, I guess, Northern California, based on maps of Pangea that I looked at for 10 seconds, I guess there could be a volcano there, but, like, fuck if I know. In the present, there's a stupid prank going on where Jimmy gets Cindy and Libby to snort out milkshakes, and he reverses it and fast forwards it and torments them.
No, but the entire time it's he just loves tormenting women.
Yeah,
it comes back. His misogyny's back.
Yeah, we can't keep pretending it's gone. It's clearly here. And we get to know an interesting thing about the time remote is that it will fast forward and rewind you, but you'll still remember what happened. So it doesn't really fast forward or rewind you. It just makes you repeat what you did.
Yeah, basically how this thing works is a conundrum into itself, and you get dissertations how stupid this episode handles it.
It doesn't even make them repeat what they just did, because they talk, and then Jimmy rewinds and fast forwards it, and they don't talk in the, fast forward part.
Yeah, so if he, rewinds it, and then they have a chance to change what they're going to do, right? Because they're like, Jimmy, don't fucking do that. But what's happened? He fast forwards them, which makes them do the action that they weren't going to do because they already left, and wouldn't that just make them kick his ass really fast? And
then there's the fucking frame-by-frame feature. Jimmy, what the fuck is a frame?
One, it didn't look like frames. It looked like they were skipping. You made a shitty time overload for bad internet connection. It was like a buffering feature. And frames don't exist in real life.
Maybe, he has been barreling the lens more and more. Maybe he finally understands he's a cartoon character. And then Hugh gets into all sorts of debauchery when he gets the remote, where he goes to the candy bar and proceeds to eat the same ice cream over and over for hours. And it's only after hours, as Sam explicitly says, that they finally try to stop him. And he's just vomiting and then eating ice cream over and over.
He's just vomiting up his... Oh, and you know what the worst part about that is?
What's that?
We get to see the return of his, foot-long tongue of terror.
Yeah, the frog tongue comes back. So Sam demands that Hugh leave. He's like, alright, just as soon as I finish this purple flurp. And he does the same stupid joke again, where he drinks it, burps, reverts it, drinks it, repeat ad nauseum. Sam should have kicked his ass and stolen the remote, and that was the end of the episode. But it wasn't.
Finally. So, basically, the premise of this episode is Jimmy Neutron and company suffer in the past and fuck up time, probably, except they don't. And Hugh just actually is a terrible person.
Yeah, they keep insisting that anything they do could change the timeline. Don't touch a single thing, or else time as we know it should not exist. And oh, Jimmy, if that works that way, if changing anything will change the timeline, it's too late. You've already, affected some quantum states. You're already boned. But even then, they start smashing dinosaur eggs. They, concuss a T-Rex. None of this ever changes anything in the present. So I guess it just didn't matter. All of Jimmy's postulating and saying, we're gonna fuck the future, didn't matter. The writers didn't know what they were talking about.
It just didn't pay off at all. But you know what's even worse than, probably killing a T-Rex and, messing with a Lepidoptera and, breaking a mushroom? You know what's worse than that?
Oh, I know what's worse than that.
Causing, for no reason, causing a volcano to erupt.
Yeah, Jimmy, in the final battle against the T-Rex, Jimmy erupts a volcano for no reason whatsoever, because he was trying...
Do you think there was a reason for it?
No. I don't. Because he was trying to, scare off the T-Rex, but he'd already won. He didn't need to do that. So all he did was he just, created a horrible, lava spill coming right towards him, and put unnecessary pressure on himself and his friends. It didn't make any sense.
So after the T-Rex, breaks the diamonds, he gets the thing to work, and he's like, alright, it's gonna work. Alright, it works. He turns to the volcano and fast forwards it until it erupts. Why? He never gives a fucking reason, Jimmy. Why the fuck did you do that?
You just permanently fucked up that volcano's eruption schedule. Might be the reason why, like, I don't know, Mount St. Helens went up in our timeline.
He fucking, like, I could see if maybe he gave a reason, or it would be like, okay, one, I can't actually think of a good reason. Two, like, if the T-Rex was the problem, you could just rewind it. Like, so he was like, oh no, the T-Rex woke up, we gotta rewind 10 minutes. Boom. And then you have all the time in the world to make sure it works and go ahead in the future. I think Jimmy just wants everyone to suffer.
Yeah, it's not great.
Balls out, everything's fucked Leroy Jenkins for fun.
Yeah,
Causes a volcano while I can in my last 10 seconds.
All the interactions that the kids have in the past are stupid. There's a scene where they're screaming, but nothing's coming out of their mouths. Like, Sheen's like, "Don't move, Carl!" As Carl's clearly moving. He like, "Oh no, don't move!" And then he just assumes like a walk like an Egyptian pose and moves a lot.
Fucking...
A dinosaur eats the camera because we couldn't go 10 seconds without having a board joke.
Just one episode.
So, Sheen gets into a stupid argument with Carl and is like, "Don't sneeze under this mushroom." "Oh no, it's a mushroom! Sneeze, Carl, sneeze!" Like, and Sheen screaming doesn't alert the dinosaur, but Carl sneezing does. So Sheen just wanted to kill himself for no reason.
Sheen wanted... Rewind of Sheen's death wish. He wants people to die.
They meet Leppy, and they have a constant screaming fit until Jimmy just immediately snaps out of it and he's like, "He's harmless!"
Screaming, he's harmless.
Yeah, it's not great. It's just a bad transition where he's like, "Why are you guys panicking? There's no reason to panic. Like, half a second ago you were in the middle of screaming." And he's saying this as Sheen is holding him up as a meat shield.
It's the best. Finally, Jimmy is used for what he uses everyone else as. Sheen's just using him as a meat shield. That's great. Good frame. Good frame.
So, Jimmy finally decides that, oh no, when one of my devices breaks, I could just build a new one! Who'd have thunk it?
Finally. This is the, like, all of season 1, Jimmy forgets he can remake inventions.
Because he's like, I mean, up to this point, he's just been, like, hammering away at stuff and not knowing what's gonna happen, but finally he's putting his orc powers to good use, and he's like, if I make, like, berries in the same rough colors as the buttons were on the remote, and then get a big blue shiny thing where the million-year button should have been, I can make the remote again.
So, like, again, Jimmy... I have absolutely no explanation for how Jimmy would ever make this work with science, because he has access to rocks, twigs, and berries. And the buttons are berries.
And he needs a diamond for a circuit. You know.
Which, in itself, makes absolutely no sense, since wouldn't you want something like... You can't really conduct anything. One, where'd you get electricity, Jimmy? Do you just have, like, your fucking neutron generator up your ass at all times?
Sheen gets abducted by a dinosaur, and Jimmy immediately gives up on him.
It's true. Go further. Explain the situation.
Yeah, they're just hanging around. Leppy's trying to mime at him, like, "You're about to be attacked," and Sheen's like, "Oh, charades!" And then he gets grabbed by a pterodactyl. He's like, "I'm scared of pterodactyls!" Which is not a very funny line. Jimmy's like, "We can't reach him. He's gone." And then it cuts to credits. Or, like, to a commercial break. So... if kids, imagine if you were a kid and you'd never seen a 2-part episode before, and you thought that the episode ended like that.
10 out of 10. Finally. Jimmy Neutron ending with, they're stuck, Sheen dies.
Yeah, it's amazing. I would have...
Like, his first result is like, our only chance whatsoever is for me to make another replay and then rewind him. So this exact moment. Oh well, keep going.
Don't worry, I bring back Sheen from the dead so often. I'm used to it.
Yeah, like, that's kind of... He doesn't even react or, like, have emotions about it. He's like, oh, Sheen's gone. Oh, that's happened before. Whatever.
Carl is supposed to go find food and shelter because Jimmy expects it to take that long. And instead, what he does is he makes a grass skirt and coconut bra and shakes his titties around. It made me so uncomfortable.
So they have the most unnecessary scene that basically just shows that Carl is incredibly incompetent and makes no. Carl's brain is necrotic at this point. He's not doing so well. He hasn't died yet, so Jimmy hasn't had a way to replace him without murdering him with a hammer yet.
We learned that Leppy can track particular sediments, which are usually found near diamonds, which I guess I'm not an early mammal expert, so I don't fucking know. We cut to Sheen, who is now adopted by the pterodactyls, and he's used to having divorced parents. I think this is the first evidence we see of that, because he's like, yeah, my mom, that's great. And then I guess he gets thrown out of a nest at one point, because like
he must fly. Please let Sheen die again.
I was so hoping that Sheen would just splat on the concrete and his molecules wouldn't assimilate.
Thanks, Jimmy. You're the only one who can assimilate to us. And
meanwhile, in splatting on the ground, Hugh shows up and he's skydiving using the remote because he doesn't want to use a parachute. He just wants
for no reason, because he's a dick.
He just wants to feel as close to death as possible, and then
he wants to tempt death.
Then he just rewinds himself at the last second back into the airplane, which should not work that way.
He only points to himself. He shouldn't hit the airplane. So Hugh should just be going up in his arc and then falling back down to his death.
He quick saved at the wrong point. Bad job. Bad job, Hugh.
Did.
And then he jumps back out of the plane, and what do you call him? The skydiving
instructor.
Yeah, the skydiving instructor just thinks he's witnessed a suicide and just shrugs.
Everybody knows Hugh is they want him to die. They know he's as bad as Jimmy.
They find some pre-cut diamonds. They got a dinosaur, they got a T-Rex to headbutt it because the dinosaur's skull is...
No, you can't, gloss over that. They find massive pre-cut diamonds, meters in length, on the side of a cliff.
Yeah, who cut those? The gnomes? The dinosaurs? Leppy?
The dinosaur gnomes.
Yeah, it just makes no
sure.
sense. Fucking Jimmy's idea of history is he played Minecraft once. He knows what Minecraft is, because he looked into the future. He grabbed himself.
There are the diamond blocks, they're that big.
He insists that a T-Rex's skull is as hard as steel, which I looked that up and could find no evidence of that.
Yeah, it's thick, but it's a fucking 3 meter diamond. Bruh, nothing is getting that. Your better option is just to dig and hope you find a smaller one for your blue fucking shiny thing in the middle. Oh my god.
There's a boss fight against the dinosaur. There's a joke where Sheen pulls out a diamond ring. He's like, diamonds are nice. And I'm like, do we have to chalk that up to the transphobic joke? Or is that a homophobic joke? Or is that just Sheen being inexplicable?
I don't even know what to do with that joke. It's just weird.
It doesn't make any sense. It just
it's not even. It's even for their shitty homophobic jokes. They're whatever. It's not even it's just weird.
Jimmy does the stupid thing with a volcano, and they warp back to the present time.
Jimmy launches a volcano to ensure as much damage to the timeline as possible.
And
for some reason, for kicks.
And nothing changes. They're back in Retroville, and everything's the same, except there's been an angry mob trying to take out Hugh. Good.
Good.
We learned this
again. We need to be. We've already established that angry mobs will form and try to kill Jimmy at the slightest provocation. We need more of that, but with you.
I guess it's not the first time this has happened, though, because he said, remember when I said I'd never be taken home by an angry mob again?
Oh my god.
We learn what he's done, and he gave the kids brain freeze. He disgusted the kids at the candy bar.
We saw Sam do that. We saw that episode of Sam. We saw him skydiving.
He made
a total asshole. Where he should have died. What was the last thing?
He made a woman experience the miracle of birth again and again and again. What the fuck?
What the fuck?
So Hugh just broke into a birth and just rewound it and forced the baby back up the vagina. And then forced her to give birth again and again and again until she broke down crying. What the fuck is wrong with you, Hugh? You should be in prison.
That's not even like a shit. That's not even like an intense reading. That's a generous reading.
He just kept shoving a baby back up a vagina.
You wanted her to feel the pain of giving birth. The most pain possible. What the fuck, you?
And then for the rest of the time she's on screen, she's just sobbing.
He's fucking... What the fuck kind of sexual escapades are you on, Hugh?
This is no longer an escapade. This is now... Hugh is now a fucking sex offender. If you weren't already for stripping.
Yeah, he's a sex offender now. He's a sex offender verbatim from text evidence from the show.
Yeah, what the fuck? Why would they include that? That is not okay. Why would they include that?
Why would they? That's, like, what I'm baffled about is, like, that's, like, some weird shit we would, like, extrapolate. No, that's just...
Yeah, I wouldn't even make that joke. It's like, I'm not gonna put fucking sexual assault in my Jimmy Neutron fucking podcast.
Yeah, like, that'd be really, really fucked up. Nope. That's in the text. That happened.
That's so fucked up. I wouldn't suggest it as a joke, and that happens. You could watch it yourself, and why the fuck? So
yeah, Hugh is a firmly fucked up, truly despicable person.
I want Hugh Neutron to die.
I do too.
What he did today was worse than most villains do.
Yeah.
Like, say what you will about fucking, like, the human centipede. You didn't shove entire babies up the fucking, vulva. Why, Hugh?
He didn't even give a reason for it.
Was
He
it?
just wanted to.
Why?
He wanted to.
I can't believe this is a canon thing that Hugh Neutron did.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy has killed Carl repeatedly, and we get that. But he's not, like, a serial sex offender. Which we can point to Hugh Neutron as.
What the fuck?
So yeah, that's the episode. Jimmy is...
Well, no,
Jimmy
that's not
murders the
episode.
time stream.
Get back here, you
He's
coward. Get back here, you coward.
What? What?
Judy does punish Hugh
Sort
for
of.
being her rapist by shoving him in a cage, which she has.
They have the auxiliary cage, you know.
She has a massive fucking steel cage and locks him up. I'm losing it.
So he was in the cage. Jimmy and company come back, and nothing has changed miraculously because time is meaningless.
They think that they've entered some sort of weird Amazonian timeline where women control the Earth, but everything it looks identical.
You know, it's Retroville, but women control the Earth because Hugh's in a cage. Let's be real, like, Hugh's probably in a cage for a myriad. Like, Jimmy has seen his father in a cage before with his, like, exhibitionism.
Yeah, then the episode ends on an unfunny joke where Hugh says he's sorry, Judy rewinds it, and he says he's sorry again, but that doesn't make any sense, because he should remember that he said he's sorry, but when has this remote been consistent? And then Leppy undoes all of it, so I guess Hugh is no longer a sex offender.
Although, no, I can't fucking, like, even if...
Well, no, but...
Given the opportunity, he totally will.
Yeah, and everyone still retains their memories, so even though...
Oh, yeah!
Yeah, so even though that didn't strictly happen, everyone remembers it happening. So he's a sex offender still. And what the fuck can you say about it? Hugh Neutron is canonically a sex offender. Why is that in a kid's show?
It just happened.
I thought I
like,
was...
that happened.
I thought I was at my most pissed off at the Yentl Marmelstein joke. Because flagrant anti-Semitism...
Flagrant blatant.
is horrible, but par for the course for Nickelodeon shows. Explain to me in what context Hugh being a sex offender is acceptable.
He just likes making people give birth repeatedly.
Again and again and again.
You know, just because he can. Fuck.
I'm angry. I am genuinely angry at Hugh Neutron because he got away with it.
He should be murdered for his crimes.
Well, you can get a death sentence for that in some states, Hugh. I would personally administer it.
We will kill you.
I would beat you to death with my bare hands, Hugh.
We're coming for you. We're coming.
So...
This episode hurt us.
So, last episode...
In a different way than the Empire Strikes Back. But this episode... Fuck this episode. Just fuck this episode.
The last viewing period was kind of like Hugh Neutron is a shithead, and that was kind of a joke. Hugh Neutron is a monster. Oh, fuck me.
I don't know if it's better or worse that this is the season 1 finale.
Yeah, this is what they ended on if they didn't get renewed.
I don't know. I feel like they had an inkling or not at the end, but...
Well, you never know, because Planet Sheen got canceled, and now Sheen's stuck up there. That was how they ended
dead.
on.
Sheen's dead, finally.
Maybe they would have ended Jimmy Neutron on Hugh being caught for crimes against humanity.
For being, like, a sexual predator. Or... I don't know, but I stand by whatever we've been calling it. It's fucked up.
There's no word for it, because this is not anything that's ever happened in the history of anything. Hugh has invented a new crime!
Hugh has invented a new sexual offense. The only consolation in this episode is that when Jimmy's fighting the T-Rex, or whatever you'd call it, he gets fucking beaten away by the tail. It's hilarious. I love it.
I was happy when Jimmy got hurt, but now I'm just numb. I'm just dead inside.
You ever notice a string of my favorite parts of episodes? It's just Jimmy getting hurt.
I'm laughing, but I'm also crying. I don't... It was... Oh, God. Empire Strikes Back was the last time anything elicited an emotion this intense out of me, and it was from boredom. But now I'm just full of hate. I'm full of hate at this. I'm pulling up the receipt. Keith Alcorn directed this episode. He also created the Jimmy Neutron movie, the Jimmy Neutron Power Hour 2, Nana and Lil...
That one sucked.
Nana and Lil Puss Puss in Who Calcutta the Cheese, and Here Comes the Pun. He was nominated for an Emmy for Outstanding Animated Program with all of the other reindeer... What?!
You caused this! I guess you just, can't watch that anymore.
He seems to have mostly done Jimmy Neutron and Nana and Lil Puss Puss. What the fuck is Nana and Lil Puss Puss?
It's gonna be it's either a children's cartoon or a porn parody.
Nana and Lil Puss Puss in Love That Pussy. What? What?
What?
What the fuck is this? The timeless adventures of an old lady and her crazy pussy! What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? Agent 5, what the fuck is this?
I'm watching it. I fucking hate this. DNA Productions?
What the fuck is this?
What the fuck?
What the fuck is this?
Oh, do you see the Arab stereotype in this one? This one's just an Islamophobic stereotype.
What the fuck was that?
I...
Ah! Keith Alcorn, what the fuck is wrong with you?
What the fuck? What the fuck?
Okay, for those
There's an episode where a cat murders a mouse and eats it, and there's blood. And then the cats shoot him. And then they go murder them.
And then there's a scene in the opening where the great old lady shakes her fat titties. There's a mummy farting. Aladdin gets murdered. This is just from the theme song. What the fuck is this? I thought that this was like gonna be a hilarious joke where this is like a poorly translated, I don't know, Eastern European show. And it was like, it's funny because pussy means another thing. But no, this is just like a horrible proto-South Park.
It is. It's like if the fucking Wilbert, whatever the fuck, comics animation wanted to be South Park and have... I don't even know what that was. Okay, whoever was said before, I don't really know you, but what the fuck?
Fuck you, Keith Alcorn. Jimmy Neutron is a shithead. I'm Connor Harrington.
And I'm Agent 5, and until next time, Keith Alcorn and Hugh, it's all your stupid fault all this fucking happened.
Damn it! Dig, fools! I need minerals for reasons.